All right, guys, I'm going to give y'all a practice update. So, from everything, all the information that I've gathered, first spring scrimmage was a good one. According to Napier, anyway, press conference sounds like the offensive line did well. They're really rotating a lot of guys there. Sounds like they're the most high on center. Kearney played some center. The strength of the O line right now would be center and guard. Sounds like we've got to develop some communication there at tackle. But I think the offensive line is going to be a strength, obviously, at least as good as last year's, in my opinion. I don't know how if they take a huge step forward, but it sounds like just from an organization standpoint, we've taken a step forward with development in the offense. It sounds like they are progressing as far as communication goes and terminology. But there's a lot of new guys, so it's hard to say if that's true or not, or if that's just Napier, giving coach speak. Makuza, so far, he had a surgery. They uncovered something that was an old injury. Sounds like he's going to be out until fall camp, but they're expecting or hopeful that he'll be back by training camp. Um, to me, I don't think he leaves at this point. I think he was going to leave, and then he realized real quick if he leaves, he does not get to play. He has to sit out another year, which I don't believe that he wants to do that. So I think he's going to be pushing to come back and play for this team in the fall. Sounds like there's a lot of me first guys on this team, if you ask me. Obviously, it's going to be some of the new guys and some of the transfers that are going to be those type of players versus the guys that have been in the system and stuck around and were faithful. A lot of times you get that when guys don't get their way, they want to bounce now. That's just the name of the game. Will Norman put out a peace sign after the scrimmage. He's running with the twos on the second team defensive line, so a lot of people are insinuating that he may be bouncing or hitting the portal soon. But who knows? These kids are emotional and in their feelings all the time after practice because they don't do well or don't feel like they're getting what they're entitled to, which they're not entitled to anything, if you ask me. Um, Wide receivers, didn't hear anything on the wide receivers. Not a lot out of that group today. Not a lot of talk there. The tight ends did really well catching the ball. Arliss Boardingham, guy we've heard his name a ton this spring, caught some balls. Tony Livingston, the guy that gray shirted at tight end, he caught some balls today. So it sounds like we're going to have a nice passing threat in the tight end game, at least through the spring. We'll see if that translates. It needs to in the fall. But that could really, really help this offense, obviously, especially these quarterbacks being inexperienced behind Mertz, and then Mertz turnover issues. Obviously, Mertz does like the tight end. He's shown that at Wisconsin that he does like to throw the tight end, the pass to the tight end a lot. So that could be good news. Let's see. A lot of praise for the coaches. Gonzalez got a lot of hype from Napier. I think that was a good hire. I like Gonzalez. The quarterbacks were a mixed bag. Again, I've told you guys I'm not high on Mertz. So far, the reports out of the scrimmage, he turned the ball over a couple times. The quarterbacks as a whole threw some interceptions, had some miscommunications. So, that happens. We had turnovers in practice last year, but again, we saw what Anthony Richardson did in the fall, threw a bunch of interceptions. So it sounds like, to me, I'm expecting a bunch of turnovers this year. I'm expecting the picks. Had a lot of interceptions every year he played. I just don't see a drastic change in the amount of turnovers from him. I just think he's going to make a lot of bad decisions, and I don't think Napier's real high on the quarterbacks. Everything, all his comments insinuate he's a hard worker, smart kid, working and putting in the effort you'd want to see from your quarterback, that type of stuff. Hasn't said a single thing about the kid's arm talent or his capabilities or any of that type of stuff. You haven't heard that from any of the coaches. You keep hearing this lunch pail, hard worker type bullcrap, this coach speak for Appleby, Luke Del Rio type comparisons, if you ask me. Those were the same mantras you would hear about those guys when they were at Florida. So I'm not expecting much out of the quarterback position at Florida until we get somebody else. Hoping in the May portal that they do target somebody, and I believe they will. And I think that who they go after and how hard they go after somebody is really going to open a lot of guys, a lot of fans' eyes to see that they were not high on the position at Florida right now as it stands. The running backs, didn't hear a lot out of that group. I think the offense did okay. It sounded like the defense really, really did well in the scrimmage. Sounded like they really got after it. A lot of toughness, a lot of physicality were the reports out of the practice. Shamar James is really excelling right now. It sounds like Jason Marshall, Justice Boone, Yuma Million, those guys are killing it right now, becoming leaders on the defense, which is really nice to hear, about your linebacker and your D ends. Sounds like obviously safety is just a position that's still got to develop some. But yeah, I think the offensive line and the rushing game, with these running backs we have, we're going to really, really, really have to lean on that a lot. That's why I think it's super important to get the tight ends involved in the passing game, get the short, quick, intermediate game going. Where I think we're going to struggle is probably the deep game. I think Andy Jean's going to be that guy, though. He's just going to be that good that even if it's a 50-50 ball, I think he's able to go up and make the play on it. So whoever is at quarterback will have some success. I think it's just going to be really inconsistent up and down. You know, I don't know. That's all I've got for today, guys. Again, Napier's press conference seemed pretty positive. He said there was a lot of ugly out there today. That was his exact quotes. But it did sound like there was a lot of good things he had to say too. So to me, that sounds like the scrimmage was pretty bad. But he's really optimistic about this team as a whole going forward and where the state of the program's at with recruiting. Obviously, recruiting is going well. We just got another commitment from a safety. I think he's a 4-star by the time it's all said and done. This class is, I said top 3. It's not. It's top 7, and it's number 7 in the composite right now as it stands. And I think our average dropped. I think we're down to like a 9.4 average, which is still really excellent. That's awesome. It's better than most of the teams in front of us. Again, we've only got 5 commits. As we add some more, that average is probably going to drop down to a 9.2, which is solid. But I really am hoping and hopeful that average stays above a 9.2 and we add quality players and end this thing with a top 5 class. So that would be kind of my, data point that I'd be shooting for, and the standard I would hold Florida to is top 5 class, a 9.2-ish average or higher. Anything less than that would be a little disappointing. But as a whole right now, things seem okay. Again, I'm still just hopeful we get a quarterback. But that's the latest news out there on the scrimmage we had today. Go Gators.